the powerful story of St. John of the Cross, from darkness to divine union. In the stillness of 16th century Spain, a voice arose that spoke of transformation through suffering, hope through despair, and light through darkness. That voice belonged to St. John of the Cross, a mystic poet, a reformer, and a doctor of the Church who showed that the path to God is often paved with trials, but illuminated by divine love. His life, shaped by perseverance, humility, and profound spirituality, remains a guiding light for all who seek God through the shadows of life's struggles. Early years, humility and trust. Born Juan de Yepes y Alvarez in 1542 in Fontiveros, Spain, John grew up amidst hardship. His father's untimely death left the family impoverished. Despite these early struggles, John's mother taught him the value of faith, perseverance, and reliance on God's providence. This formative period planted seeds of humility in John's soul, a virtue he would nurture and champion throughout his life. John joined the Carmelite Order and was later ordained a priest. Yet, his heart yearned for deeper communion with God. He desired a return to simplicity and austerity in the Carmelite way of life. Inspired by St. Teresa of Ávila, he embraced the mission of reforming the Carmelite Order, desiring that it reflect a more contemplative, disciplined spirit. But his quest for holiness and renewal met fierce resistance. Imprisonment and the Dark Night. The reforms John pursued were unpopular among some of his fellow Carmelites. In 1577, his own brethren betrayed him, imprisoning him in a tiny cell in Toledo. For 9 months, John endured darkness, cold, and brutal treatment. In this physical and spiritual abyss, John experienced what he later described as the dark night of the soul. Yet it was in this darkness that a flame of divine love ignited in his heart. His suffering deepened his intimacy with God. In his confinement, he wrote some of his most exquisite poetry, including lines from his masterpiece, the spiritual Canticle and the Dark Night of the Soul. These works unveiled a profound truth. Suffering, when united with God, becomes a pathway to divine union. John's imprisonment ended with a daring escape, but the prison walls could not suppress his faith. Instead, they forged a deeper wisdom, that God uses the darkness not to destroy us, but to refine us. The flame of divine love. After his escape, John continued his work of reform with humility and love. His writings became beacons for those seeking God amid life's trials. His vision of the Ascent of Mount Carmel depicted the soul's journey toward God, a climb requiring surrender, self-denial, and complete trust in God's love. For John, the soul's purification was not punishment, but preparation for union with the divine. He taught that true joy and peace are found when we let go of everything that keeps us from God. His life's work culminated in his doctrine of mystical love, a love that grows stronger in suffering and blooms into divine intimacy. Virtues and legacy. St. John of the Cross embodied virtues that continue to inspire. Humility. In poverty, betrayal, and obscurity, John embraced humility, seeing himself as a servant of God's will. Courage. He faced imprisonment and opposition without bitterness, trusting that God's plan would prevail. Perseverance. He endured immense suffering, yet never abandoned his mission or faith. Love of God. His passion for God consumed him, driving him to help others seek the same transformative love. Declared a doctor of the Church in 1926, St. John's writings and teachings continue to guide countless souls through their own dark nights. His legacy teaches us that even when God seems absent, He is working silently within us, drawing us closer to Himself. Life lessons from St. John of the Cross. Embrace trials as pathways to growth. When faced with difficulties, see them as opportunities for God to purify and transform you. Trust in God's presence during darkness. Even when God seems distant, trust that He is leading you toward a greater light. Detach from the world to cling to God. Let go of attachments that prevent you from experiencing the fullness of God's love. Love with humility and perseverance. True love for God is nurtured in humility and grows stronger through perseverance in suffering. Seek inner silence and contemplation. In a noisy world, cultivate moments of stillness to hear God's voice and experience His presence. Conclusion. St. John of the Cross's life is a powerful reminder that God's light shines brightest in our darkest moments. His journey through suffering to divine union inspires us to walk through our own trials with faith, hope, and love. He invites us to trust that, no matter how deep the darkness, God's love is a flame that can never be extinguished. John of the Cross quotes, "In the twilight of life, God will not judge us on our earthly possessions and human success, but rather on how much we have loved. In the inner stillness where meditation leads, the Spirit secretly anoints the soul and heals our deepest wounds. God leads every soul by a separate path. In the twilight of life, God will not judge us on our earthly possessions and human success, but rather on how much we have loved. In the inner stillness where meditation leads, the Spirit secretly anoints the soul and heals our deepest wounds. God leads every soul by a separate path. Never give up prayer, and should you find dryness and difficulty, persevere in it for this very reason. God often desires to see what love your soul has, and love is not tried by ease and satisfaction. In sorrow and suffering, go straight to God with confidence, and you will be strengthened, enlightened, and instructed. If you do not learn to deny yourself, you can make no progress in perfection." Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. God bless you.